Hello everybody, welcome back to a new episode of the Lost Glade. It's been a little while, sorry about that. Cornelius and I have continued chipping away at deforesting the land here. It's gotten pretty expansive, almost unnecessarily so for right now, because I've finally figured out where I want to build my base here, and it's going to be right here where I've marked all these netherrack blocks with. I got something special planned, and I'm really excited for this build to come out, but it's not going to take one episode. This is going to last me a little while. And a big reason for that is just I'm still in the early grind stage of the game. There's so many things that I still don't have access to. Just as a random example, I've got some copper built up, but I don't have any wax, I don't have any bee farm yet. And when the time comes that I'm going to need that wax, I'm not going to have any. So there's all kinds of farms and systems that I have to set up to get to that point where I can actually build this thing up. And one thing I need the most right now is moss. Not just because it's the best block in the game, but also because bone meal is very critical to a lot of farms that I'm going to need early on. But it's mostly just for the moss. I love moss. I love moss. Here's a timestamp for you. Evidently the chests are still Christmas presents. This is the day after Christmas that I'm filming this, so that's interesting that that's still a thing. I spent all my weekend planning out this big elaborate structure for this base. This moss farm is simply the first component of it that I'm going to build, and it makes sense. I'm going to use a lot of moss in the build, so I may as well build the moss farm first. If you've watched through my Fusiocraft videos, you've seen that I've used a moss machine before, and I used a design that Etho designed. It was a little big, and it was really efficient. This one is going to be a different one that I'm specifically trying to reduce the footprint for. I don't care for efficiency this time around. I'm not trying to make as much as possible. I just want it to fit in this area. I want it to make sense within the build that I've built. The design I opted for was designed by Mr. Bałzowski. I've provided a link in the description if you want to watch that video. There's a good level of simplicity to this design. It doesn't require a lot of convoluted stuff up top. It's got a really compact footprint, which is what I was looking for, 11 by 13, which I've made a little bit of a modification to. I think it's now like 11 by 12 or 11 by 11. This was the important piece that allowed me to start building it in this world. First of all, I wanted to have it in one chunk just in case that matters, because I didn't do that with my moss machine in Fusiocraft, and I wish I did. So just in case it mattered, I had it placed here because of that. And then I'm also going to make use of the water over here and over here and incorporate that into the overall build. I'm going to create my own custom waterway going through here, and so I wanted this base to be up against a body of water, like a river, and there isn't really a good river through here. If you look on the map, the closest thing we've got is like there's a river over here, but I'm just going to make my own river. I might extend this a little this way. The plan is that this is going to be an elevated reservoir at Y level 67, and the water is going to flow right past my house and turn a big water wheel, and then continue flowing down to this river. Which isn't actually a river, but tee. And then I like to use netherrack to temporarily just kind of figure out where things are going to be placed in survival. I've used light matica for my starter house in this world, but I think this is still what I prefer overall. Something about how hands-on this approach is, I like it a lot more, and I can't describe why. I can visually see where this build is going to go in my mind without needing the big fancy hologram in my face. So based on the constraint of this farm being in a chunk and having some sort of waterway behind the house, this is where I set everything, and it worked out pretty good. This is going to be the front side over here, and it's reasonably distanced from this hill face, but I'm definitely still going to shave this back. With the future plans that I have in mind, this level of steepness is just not going to fly. Also, even atop Cornelius, it's really awkward getting up there. So that's the plan. I'm gonna start working on this moss farm, and I guarantee you I'm gonna run out of something important along the way. I have returned to my starting base. And there are skeleton horses here, because I had to fight these dudes earlier. This guy was just wandering around in my nether tunnel, so I brought him back home. I figure I may as well keep him, name him something stupid like Sans Nelius or something. No regrets. It's like 2024 now, practically. What am I doing? But anyways, I came back for my lava setup because I'm gonna need lava for this farm. Alright, I got the stuff to make a new infinite lava generator at my new place, and for some reason I'm riding back on Sans Nelius. the glorious union between Sansnelius and Cornelius. This guy wasn't even a thing a second ago. Cornelius, say hello to your dead brother. Ay, ay, ay. Anyways, back to the grind. The farm is coming along nicely, and I've finally run into my first major bottleneck, and strangely enough, it's from the glass. I know what you're thinking, there's sand right there, but I'm very particular about the blocks that I'm using here, and I really want to use green glass. When I put farms into my builds, I want to make sure that they actually feel ingrained with the build and they're not just kind of slapped in the middle of it, so this is one of the things that I'm trying to do to bridge it. I don't want to get too ahead of myself here, but like I used crying obsidian here for a very specific reason. Like I could have used any immovable block, but I used crying obsidian. So yeah, I want to use green glass, and I don't have cactus yet. So I'm gonna go on an adventure looking for cactus. This is one thing I really appreciate about the early game, is that you don't run into these types of situations when you've got everything. There's not too much reason to explore in a world where you've played for like a million hours. You've got all the resources you need, and you know, maybe an update will come out that'll make you want to explore and look at the new stuff, but like in Fusiocraft, for example, I was not really exploring all that much. As soon as I had everything I needed, I kind of just stuck around to where I lived. And this is also why I prefer survival over creative, is I love resource-based adventures. Building something elaborate that needs a lot of different stuff means I'm gonna have to do a lot of different things, and I'm gonna have to engage with the game in a lot of different ways. So to anyone out there who doesn't really engage with the building all that much and they find themselves getting bored of the game quickly, that's a suggestion I have, is like if you actually make some more elaborate builds, if you start trying to amp that up, then that gives you a lot more reason to go out and explore the world. I feel silly saying all this because I need cactus, but there's so many things like that. I'm gonna need a lot of crying obsidian. That's something that I'm gonna have to go out and find, or at the very least barter for. And suppose I need like an industrial amount. That means that I'm probably gonna make a gold farm. And that's the type of stuff I love, is finding reason to go and build a farm. Finding reason to do end raids or go on a big adventure. Also the sightseeing. This is a really beautiful area. Cactus obtained. While I'm here, I want to look around. Oh, what do we got over here? A ruined portal, random oak trees through the middle. Those guys. This is like supposed to be one of the driest biomes in the game. There's their humid neighbors. Not seeing any temples, and I was a bit of an idiot and I forgot to empty my inventory before this adventure. This feels underwhelming, like I just kinda swam over here, grabbed some cacti and ran, but man, I got projects to attend to. It didn't take long. The farm is basically complete. The copper beams that I'm using to supposedly support it, hold it up, they're supposed to be weathered. Without any access to honeycomb, I say I just place it, let it age itself. Right now, that's a far off thing that I'm gonna do later, but right now, all I need to do is place this torch here, and this whole thing is gonna turn on and start generating me infinite moss, infinite bone meal. So the way this design works is that everything that goes into these two hoppers in the middle here get turned into bone meal with a bunch of composters beneath them. But anything that goes in here is kept. So looking in here, I'm already collecting moss carpet, azaleas. And this line of hoppers sends the bone meal to these droppers and dispensers, which will then feed back into the system, and when there's an overflow, it'll go into this chest. So right now, I'm not generating any bone meal for myself. The farm is still filling itself up, but eventually, that chest is gonna be full of bone meal as well. And just like that, I've basically entered creative mode, because moss is the most overpowered block in the game. But seriously, it's such a great shaping tool. Better than dirt in my opinion, because it's way faster to harvest. It's my shaping tool of choice. I don't have a fully upgraded hoe yet, but I've got infinite moss now. And even without a hoe, it's really simple to punch. It's still faster than dirt. Now that I'm generating moss, I may as well show you one of the key reasons why I chose to settle in this biome specifically. Moss is traditionally very similar in color to grass, but in this biome, there's a significant contrast between these two blocks. And so because of that, I can really emphasize areas of the environment that utilize moss far more than I can in any other biome. Also, I just accidentally made a silly smiley face. So what I want to do is I want to make custom terrain that utilizes this contrast and makes a very beautiful looking landscape. Also, I want to scaffold with it and shape things with it and fill empty spaces with it. Moss is OP, dude. This is going to be how my empire starts. I've started my very first rudimentary mine here because I still need everything, basically. And I already knew that I was above a lush cave biome, but like, look at this. This is so whimsical. Seriously though, this is one of the coziest mine shafts that I think I've come across since the 1.18 update. And just down the hall here, ooh, there's a geode. And I'm curious to see what it's like inside. It's a geode. You know, they kind of all look the same. But nice, right off the bat, I have access to infinite amethyst. That's good. I also got super lucky over here. I got 3 minecart chests in a row, just back to back, and one of them had a mending book inside. I've already taken it out. This is such a fortunate one to have right underneath my house. Like, I can tell that I'm gonna make this my little underground base of operations. That is the deep dark, dude. That is where the bad things happen. Okay, good to know. I figure there's probably deep dark underneath the mountain. I say we find out. Somehow this might be scarier than the warden. Not a very scary deep dark so far. I haven't found a single shrieker. Well, for now, the good news is if I want these skulk blocks, I'll know where to find them. Ay. He wants me to say it so bad. Speed! One of the big reasons that I've been mining is because I'm trying to find a new spawner so that I can create a new experience farm. Ooh, I hate Endermen. And lucky me, I have found just that. It's quite a fun journey to get there. You drop down a waterfall. Ooh, get shot by a skeleton, apparently. Oh, I forgot about axolotls. Ooh, I kind of want to grab them right now, but I need this water for my farm. Stop it! And into the pool we go. It's just down this tunnel. Aw yeah, bitches, we got ourselves a zombie spawner. Okay, here's my take on the experience farm that I want to do this time around. I want to have them die, or not die, but almost die on dripstone. I've calced it out. They have to drop 11 blocks, and that is how they will almost die. Okay, so at this level, I want to place down a mud block and then a dripstone. The mud block is so that the items will actually be sucked into this hopper from through it because it's not technically a full block. And just like that, I've almost got my killing chamber complete. I probably just need a slab here to prevent zombie babies from getting me. It may not be the most perfect system in the world because there's gonna be rotten flesh and stuff that just piles on top of the dripstone, but to be honest, this is like the mob with the least valuable drops in the game. I'm not here to collect rotten flesh. I don't really care. I'm only in it for the experience. This is only here because I may as well, you know? Everything's set up. Now I just have to turn it on. Which means punch these out. Oh, and run! Maybe it's a good thing that it started with a baby zombie because I need to test right off the bat if this is baby zombie safe. Yeah, totally. Oh, here's a problem. The experience is just kind of sitting there. Okay, the fix is just removing these walls so that I can just get it diagonally. There we go. Okay, yeah. Now it's good. Building up a significant amount. Let's see how this goes. Oh yeah. Yeah, baby. And again, I kind of don't care for the collection of the rotten flesh, but I am collecting it. There's an example of it not actually going into the hoppers. It's whatever. It allows me to have it not too far down from where they're spawning. Okay, now that the chores are done, I think it's finally time that I start laying down blocks for this house. And a lot of this, not all of it, but a lot of this is still going to be very rudimentary. Like, I'm not going to be going ham with the details quite yet. So the blocks that I'm placing right now are going to be underwater eventually. That's why I'm opting for the mossy ones. There's going to be a bridge here. This is letting me know, like, this is going to be the water level. I think, basically, I want to bring this up to the water level. I'm going to carry this around the perimeter and see how it's shaping up. The walls are up, mostly. Stick with me here because it's going to be ugly for a while. There's a lot going on with this build in terms of the walls, so like on this side, for example, first of all, I need to dig out this hill because it's way too steep coming up the side here. There's still areas where I'm not certain if it's going to be above the surface or not. But here in this section, this is where the water wheel is going to go, and this is where the 2 channels of water are going to be flowing past my house. Since this is going to be an iconic feature, I think I'm just going to build it right here on video. So this is going to be like the central beam that's being rotated. And as you can see, I've intentionally aligned it so that it's like kind of supposedly interacting with this machine. Perhaps powering it, like maybe this is hydraulically run or something. Oop. I need to sleep. I need to sleep. I need to sleep. I need to sleep. That's the simple part. Now is time for the wheel. Here's another case where moss blocks shine as temporary placing blocks. Boom, punch, solid. And just like that, we have 1 spoke out of 8. Fairly straightforward that I replicate that on every other side here. As for the diagonals, they're just going to be nestled in between, just like this. And in Minecraft, it's important that you give your pinwheels more than 4 spokes, or it just kind of looks bad. If you know what I mean. Which is fine by me, because not only am I not pulling a Kanye, but it's also going to come out looking better. There we go. There we go. And just like that, we've got our water wheel. You guys want to see something scary? He's been there for hours. You know, I'm just chilling around, minding my own business, placing moss as I do. And this guy's just up there. I know it's because mob's AI turns off when they're a certain distance away, but it's still scary that he's just been there for hours. Always looming above me. I think I'm just gonna start building. Now that I got the moss machine set up, there's really not many materials that I don't have easy access to. Like, most of it is wood, and I can just grow trees. So I think I'm just gonna start hammering away at this. The gang's all here in front of my kinda somewhat put together house. I started chipping away at this a lot last night, and I've gotten this entire wall down. You can see now that these 2 channels are here. Like, this is the one where the water is going to be churning through the system. And this one's for the overflow, when there's too much water and there has to be like a little bypass here. And I say, we unleash the floodgates. Let's start showing off what this is really supposed to look like. Oh yeah, this is the type of thing that gets me really excited, is when the life of the build starts to come out. And that should get it just enough so that it goes over here. At the moment, it has nowhere to go, so I'm gonna wall that off for now. But same story over here, more or less. I have to like kind of figure out the specifics with this one. This one's a little more convoluted. But yeah, this little water channel right here, this is the whole crux of the placement of this house. And because the water level is gonna be different depending on the side of the house, I've worked the walls so that they kind of transition downwards. And I'm also kind of starting to roughly figure out like where do I want the terrain to rise up. So I'm thinking on this side of the house, the ground is mostly going to be level with the house and the water is going to be like up to here. Yeah, the mossy cobble goes all the way up to where the water level is going to be. So you can kind of picture that this is going to be like the edge of the water right here. But this will all inform itself as I figure out the water situation. I was tempted to focus on raising up the water level first, but I think this was more important. It's easier to get all these builds done if there's not a bunch of water in my face. But yeah, very real, tangible progress is finally coming along here. Even if this is kind of only a small footprint of the overall base that I want to build. Like this right here is just the start of my big farming gardening area. There's so much work that has to be done in the terraforming and the water raising on this side. And fun fact, it may look like I have a lot of the structure in place. First of all, it's kind of a facade right now. It's kind of only one wall. And second of all, this thing is big. This is maybe only like 5% of what I have to place. So as of right now, this is nothing more than kind of a teaser for what's to come. And I think that's a really good place to leave it this episode. I'm going to keep on grinding away at this house. This dude is gonna keep on watching over me. Cornelius is gonna keep going, nay. Sansnelius is gonna keep going. And you don't even have a name yet. I'm gonna have to come up with a name for you. Yeah, gang's all here. Tune in next time for when I just keep on building this house, possibly until I complete it.